Episode 13, The Peril. Ivanov waited, sitting in the office tower overlooking San Francisco Bay. His impatience was cresting. He wanted his painting, and it was becoming obvious something was going on with Eric. The behavior of his top man was odd. Ivanov called Yuri back to the office. While his boss fumed, Yuri remained silent. The entire situation was irritating. This kind of thing usually led to a lot of cleanup work, and he liked it easy. Eric was the cleanup guy. He didn't want that job. Yuri liked driving the boss around and getting him coffee. Eric was the strong arm. It was becoming an exhausting task keeping up with these people. Now he was worried about his partner, and he was becoming just as angry as Ivanov. What exactly was Eric's problem? Surely he wasn't going soft on this woman. He had cut her, physically damaged her body. Gwen could never have actual feelings for him, and it didn't matter, because Gwen would be dead soon anyway. Eric was a fool. Yuri, Ivanov spoke quietly. Yes, boss? Take care of the woman. I am tired of this messiness. And while you're at it, take care of Eric. He lied to me. He's not where he said he was at. The GPS told me so. Whatever he is up to, it is over. I have another transaction to make in the morning. Ivanov slowly turned his office chair toward the view of the bay and sipped his gray. Ivanov slowly turned his office chair toward the view of the bay and sipped his Earl Grey tea. And Yuri? Yes, boss? Bring me my painting. Ivanov raised his hand in dismissal and gazed into the San Francisco Bay. Tuturia phoned Sergei. Is the gallery clean? His answer was clear. Clean. I need to eat. Let's get something. I'm tired of babysitting Gwen, and we have a few hours before the drop with Ivanov. Okay, we need to talk about Ivanov's accounts. I noticed some interesting transactions. Sergei sighed with frustration. This should have been easy. Well, nothing has gone according to plan so far. Let's just keep rolling with that. Eric looked at his phone. He had missed a call from Ivanov. He felt a nervousness and dismissed it as paranoia. This was getting more complicated than he ever could have thought. The phone rang again and he answered. Yes, boss? Head back to the apartment to watch Gwen before she brings me my painting. I want to make sure everything is square. Have you seen Jonathan? Eric internally cursed himself as the lie slipped out. Not since the switch. I'm sure he will turn up. The phone clicked and Eric's pulse began to race. This wasn't good. He could feel the possibility of impending danger for Gwen. Something was wrong. The boss knew he had lied. He was absolutely certain of it. Turning the key in the ignition of his Dodge Challenger, Eric squealed into traffic and sped towards Gwen. Turning the key in the ignition of his Dodge Challenger, Eric squealed into traffic and sped towards Gwen's apartment. Gwen looked at the clock. It was now 2 p.m. Only 3 hours until the drop. Ugh. Please let me live through... Please let me live through this, was her only thought. Was Jonathan alive? Was he with Rachel? Probably. What a fool she was to believe Jonathan was over that incredibly psychotic woman with at least 9 personalities. She made Sybil look like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. In the midst of her pondering, suddenly there was a loud knock at the door to her apartment. She looked through the peephole. Shit. It was Eric, that guy who had cut her arm. Gwen raced to the bedroom to get her .38 and waited. Gwen, open the door. I'm not here to hurt you. Obviously you don't trust me, but we are both in trouble. Let me in now. She felt the tears well in the corners of her eyes as she tried to steady her hand while pointing the gun at the door. I have a gun. I will shoot you. That's okay, Gwen. Hold on to the gun. Just let me in. I will come in with my arms up, okay? Gwen walked toward the door, unlatched it, and quickly stepped back, training the revolver on Eric's chest as he walked slowly in the door with his arms up, as promised. We don't have much time. Yuri is probably on the way. Can I close the door? I don't understand. Why are you here? Gwen's confusion was staggering. Ivanov knows something is wrong. I could hear it in his voice. He told me to come over here. I think he is sending Yuri to... Just then, a car pulled up. Eric peeked out the window. Get in the bedroom, now, and keep the gun. Please tell me it's loaded. Yes, she whispered as she backed towards the bedroom. How could she possibly trust this person? But there was some instinct telling her that Eric was not lying. From the bedroom closet, Gwen heard the door to the apartment kick in. Yuri looked at Eric. I knew it. You got the hots for this woman? Well, I'm here to clean up your mess. The boss is tired of it. Yuri pulled his gun from his shoulder holster. Eric lunged at him and knocked the gun out of his hand. There had been no time for him to draw his own weapon. The two crashed into the wall by the front door, and Eric turned Yuri around, slamming the door shut with his back. Yuri punched Eric in the jaw, and he swayed back before Eric wrestled him to the floor of the apartment. Beneath Eric, Yuri was close to his gun again. As he reached for it, Eric's hands found Yuri's throat and began to squeeze hard. Damn, this son of a bitch was strong for someone who never wanted to do any work. Yuri's mouth opened, gasping for air, and Eric felt himself tiring from restraining him. Suddenly he heard Gwen. Eric, turn your head and keep your hands on his throat. When I say so, let go. He did as Gwen ordered and turned his head. The caustic and oily scent of paint thinner filled the air as Gwen poured it into Yuri's mouth. Let go, hold him down, and close his mouth and nose. Eric released his grip and did as Gwen instructed. Yuri immediately and involuntarily swallowed and choked on a mouthful of paint thinner from Gwen's paint jar. Gwen grabbed a rag and put it over the hand covering Yuri's mouth, pouring more paint thinner onto the rag. Within seconds, the thrashing of Yuri's body began to cease, and he was still. Gwen and Eric looked at each other as they sat back on the floor, opposite sides of Yuri's body. How did you know? She asked. The GPS. Ivanov knew I had lied to him about where I was. He sent us both over here, and he sent Yuri to kill... He sent me over here and then sent Yuri to kill us both. So you could have just let him kill me and just run. Why didn't you? I've been trying to figure that out all day. Eric looked at Gwen and knew he was in more trouble than he could have imagined. Gwen looked down, avoiding Eric's gaze. Well, I guess we better clean this up, Gwen said, trying to compose herself. And whatever you do, don't light a cigarette. This concludes tonight's episode of Echoes in the Gallery. Join me, your host, Susan L. Sistrunk, for episode 14, The Switch. Until then, thank you for listening. Stay safe and love each other.